Good morning, Shelly. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm well, Dr. Ping. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you. I know you are pretty active. Um, when actually did you uh, get uh,
Kind
be
of
act
involved in all of
get
this.
involved? Sorry.
No.
Sometimes I couldn't find the word.
Oh,
It just
I
stuck in my head when my mouse is a little bit kind of slower than my brain. Uh,
it's funny you said that. We had a conversation over breakfast about that this morning with my husband. I'm like,
oh,
I have
really?
too many windows open and it's like it's scrambled.
Right.
So I would say I started noticing the summer of 2020.
Okay.
You always heard rumors in the kind of in the media, you'd hear some things going on, but only partially paid attention.
Right.
Last fall, there were a few concerning things that I began to hear about. One was the hiring of the diversity,
Right.
inclusion, and equity officer.
Mm.
Um, so I started to get a little concerned, started to send a few emails to the school board. But what really was the catalyst was I was sitting on my couch. It was in February of this year.
Mm.
I was sitting on my couch on a Sunday evening. I think we had the football game on, and there was a post on Nextdoor, and it said, "Anyone hear about the social emotional learning survey?" And they're not sharing questions with the parents. Well, that did not sit well at all
Right.
with me.
Right.
Again, sitting on the couch from my phone, I shot an email over to my son's counselor. We only have one in Carmel Clay schools right now.
Okay.
Sent an email to my son's school counselor, and that then he was not involved, but I did not feel it was appropriate for the school to do that. And I think I've seen in some of your posts, if it's not me, then who? So if it wasn't me that was going to start bringing attention to what was happening and the school thinking that it was okay to ask any child a question
Right.
without, then who else would? So
Right.
that's really what started me on this journey.
Okay. Uh, you said your son is in Carmel Clay,
He is
middle school or high school?
high school.
High school. Okay. Yeah. Which grade he's in?
He is a junior.
It's junior. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And how many kids you have?
We have two,
Okay.
two boys. I'm by far the shortest one in my family, but I'm still a mama bear.
Right.
But yeah, so we have our other son is a sophomore in college.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is he also graduate from Carmel Clay?
He is,
Okay.
and I was, between there's 3 years difference, school years difference between the two of them, and there's a noticeable difference just at the culture
Oh, really?
in the high school. The the LBGTQ movement with the rainbows, and maybe it's just because now I'm aware, now I'm
Mm.
awake.
Okay.
But yeah, I noticed a significant difference. Yeah, it's just
Right.
and maybe I think COVID certainly prompted lots of changes. So maybe that just exasperated what was already there. Everything started moving more quickly that way. I'm not sure, but
Yeah. Well, it definitely it's recent. When I get alarm is the Red for Ad movement.
mhm.
Uh, I could not pinpoint to it, but just like feel like this is just kind of similar to sounds similar to me, because the slogan they use, the icon they use, they have this kind of uh, a fist, right? Wrist up fist. That's actually a communist symbol. And of course, red definitely is a communist color. But I could not really pinpoint to it. So So I decided not to say anything because I might be wrong. But that's kind of got me kind of paying attention.
And that was that 3 years ago?
That's 2020.
That was only
Yeah.
last year, was the Red for Ed?
Oh, no. 2019. 2019.
Because, okay, so because I can remember it being a very big deal with teachers not going to school,
Right.
and very similar to you, I was listening, thought it was ridiculous, but it didn't affect me. So I
Right.
just kind of, kept, so shame on me if I would have become, so that's good that you were listening.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was political. I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? Because the election and all that, the teachers union wants to get, teachers kind of involved and also can influence the election. I just did not know the ideology behind it, which is Marxism. So, and like you, actually, what actually got me into action is because Carmel Clay, hired the DEI officer, and then I got to then heard about Alvin Louis, and he was there, kind of very active. Came from California, and escape just he trying to escape from all that. Now, when he got to Carmel Clay, and he say, "Oh wow, that's here," and that's I think in a way, as parents, well, uh, a little bit too trusting. I mean, sometimes it's good, but sometimes people can take advantage of that.
And I
Right.
think they have for a long
Mhm.
time.
Right.
I know I was raised to question, but yet to respect,
Right.
people of authority, and it's only been really maybe within the last 10 years that there's this feeling that trust has been taken advantage of. So, I think I was following your background even before Alvin's.
Okay.
I believe you were posting very early on. And I was particularly drawn to your posts because of where you came from. You have firsthand knowledge. And my grandparents ran from that in Italy. It was right after World War II.
Oh wow.
It was right after World War II, and my grandparents moved here with 2 children, $150 in a trunk.
Oh wow.
And did not know the language, and just wanted a hope for a better life for their children and their children's children. So,
Right.
so I was drawn to your story for, obvious reasons, and
Mm.
would not let my grandparents dream for a better life. I'm going to fight for freedom.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Wow. And so, what kind of action you took?
oh, that's a loaded question.
Right.
Now that we're classified as domestic terrorists, I don't know. Can I?
Well,
Can I?
kind of interesting. I went to a school board meeting on Monday. It's a Clark Pleasant school board, and
And you're running for school board on the school board, right?
well, not for that one. I was running for
Oh.
the Center Group.
Center Grove, right?
Yeah. But what made that school district interesting is because the superintendent is very woke. He actually, I think last year, he sent an email to parents, basically denounced his whiteness. And,
So that was something that got me, because right after the George Floyd incident in
okay.
Carmel, our superintendent, so June of 2020, sent an email to the Carmel Clay School community
Right.
denouncing what happened, the police, and similar his whiteness. I forgot about that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I sent him a lengthy letter saying, granted, the video is horrendous, but you need to let due process happen. You are a
Right.
leader in this community and the students are looking to you. You cannot denounce anything until due process and the police.
Exactly.
So yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that. But anyway, so I went to the school board meeting on, the past Monday night, and the parents are very respectful and all that, but they definitely sent terror to the school board. So calling us domestic terrorists, maybe it's not too far from it, because I think no matter what, I think probably that's how they felt, because never in the past they've been challenged, they've been kind of held accountable. So the school board, actually, they have 5 members. The 2 of the members quit about a week ago. Yeah.
I saw the news on that. I saw, yeah.
Right. So basically the president and vice president both quit. Yeah.
It'd be great if we could do that in Carmel.
Yeah.
We got one to quit.
Yeah. But the thing is, so you kind of got involved, and so what is your involvement? Get down to the school board meeting and all that?
So in April of this year, Dr. Ping, it's amazing how sometimes things happen just very organically. And there were a group of people that came together purely, I'm a devout Christian, and I truly believe it was through God's influence and his hand, but came together and loosely formed and went to the April school board meeting, and our intention for most of us was not to speak, but we did. Several of us in very impromptu spoke, and that led to a parent movement, and parent and community. There's grandparents too. We have a very diverse group, but so that was the very early forming of Unify Carmel. So I've been very active with Unify Carmel. I try to let parents know what's happening in hopes that will spread further into our community. We have a lot of opposition in Carmel, meaning there's a large group of parents that are very much against what the school is doing, but there's a very large group also, I assume it's very large, at least a very vocal group that is in a lot, they support what the school is doing. We do not have a school board who supports our children's best interests. They support special interest.
Right.
So our goal has been to notify the community. Recently, I've become very active with the books, the explicit books that we've been finding in the schools, and trying to bring that to light. And Purple for Parents, Mary in the Library, has been so helpful at bringing awareness. So I take the work that Mary in the Library has done and really try to then push what we're finding in Carmel out into the community.
Right. Do you have access to like the school library?
Yes.
Okay, so you can just walk in as a parent and check what's on there.
No. They really do not allow parents in the school right now, but they have an online catalog that I have. Really anyone has access to, but they've tried to hide it. So it used to be on Carmel Clay School's website, there was a link that you could click and you could reference the online catalog. Well, after our explicit book reading, the end of July, which many mothers and grandmothers read from books that were found in the libraries. They hid that link, but it's still accessible.
Oh, okay. What's their reaction to that? I mean,
The school,
yeah, the school and the school board, have they done anything to take out those books away?
so the books that were read the end of July, last I looked, they were still out of the out of distribution. Since then, I have submitted 4 requests for review. So there is a very lengthy process if a book is
Okay.
found, to file a request for review with Dr. Ping. It's so backwards.
Okay.
So a librarian brings in a book, you submit a request for review to the librarian that brought in the book. They evaluate the book, reevaluate, they've already evaluated it and
Right.
accepted it. So I'm following the red tape. So beyond that, we will escalate to the director of curriculum and then the school board if necessary. So they want the books in there. They are
Wow.
not making it easy on parents to get these books out. So we are demanding some sort of policy to pull these books out. There
Right.
has to be a level of decency and
Yeah, I think also has to be on the at the state level, right? Legislature, you have to change the law to make sure the same policies regarding public distribution of pornographic materials apply to the school.
absolutely.
Right. And so what's has the superintendent and any school board kind of reached out to you guys and to say, okay, we did not know those are those things in the library, we are sorry and we can do better? No.
No.
So what?
So there was a public, the superintendent made a public statement blaming the parents for not bringing the books directly to him in private. So, it's a parent's fault. And said those books do not belong in our schools and I'll look into it. Well, he has not looked into it. We have sent numerous emails. The complaints on the books that I've filed the request for review, Dr. Beresford has been copied on all of those communications, as has the board. So to my knowledge, I have not received any reply
Right.
that
Okay.
there's any action currently happening.
Well, at least he'll admit publicly, right? Those books shouldn't be in the school.
He did. That was the end
Okay.
of July. So it's
Right.
been, almost 3 months.
Right.
So we do have a meeting scheduled with him on Monday,
Okay.
and I plan to ask him about
Okay, this coming Monday, right?
Mhm.
Oh, that's good. Good to know what's happening. Has any school board members can make that kind of statement?
No.
No. And
Not that I am aware
right.
of. No.
Do you have actually access to the school board other than the school board meetings?
And other than email, no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, this is what kind of I have seen, which is it's not right because we voted those school board there to represent us, but we have no access to them other than the school board meeting. And then they complain, say, okay, you should bring this to me in private, but you don't have that. So it's kind of like say, oh, that's your fault. Now you can blame parents for it. Yeah. I look at the Center Grove School Board website, and basically there's a policy there saying that if you want to, any parents, if you want to talk with the school board members, you have to follow the chain of command, which means you have to talk to the teacher first, and then you talk to the the principal, and eventually move up to them. Which to me that's wrong, right? Because they are our representatives. They are responsible to us, and all of a sudden the parents are considered as some kind of foot soldier. You have to follow the chain of command. It's just a mindset to me. It's like it's incredible. Sometimes I mean it's normal in China, right?
Right, right.
It's
And
normal
this so
in all the totalitarian government, but that shouldn't be in America. Like school board, the parents have to follow the chain of command. What are they thinking? Sometimes I'm just wondering. It looks like so far, I mean, a lot of school board, that's their mindset, saying, okay, I mean, you're lucky to have your kids in our school, so don't say anything. I mean, if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
you misinformed parents, just
Right,
shoo along. Yeah,
right,
let us indoctrinate your children alone. You know,
right,
we don't need you. Yeah.
right. And actually, I there's one school board I went to, this Franklin Community School, and there are a couple of teachers and also some graduates. So their message actually is just saying, if you don't like what school's doing, you go somewhere else. You go
Send
to
them to
private
private.
school, you just take the kids out. I mean, I don't know why they think that way, because we paid for that, right?
Mhm.
Even though, you know, as as taxpayers, as residents, we paid for that. So why can't we say anything? But that's kind of their mindset. So that's how we do things here. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
So in Center Grove, is it still open access to school board meetings?
Yes,
So they're still open to the public.
they're still not open to the public. Yeah.
And do they have a public comment? Are they allowing public comment?
Uh, as far as I know, yes. So
Okay.
far, I think the Center Grove School Board and the superintendent, they are, they are still, um, approachable.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, it's probably not as good as we wanted, but somehow it's maybe better than other school boards.
Right. So across the state, admittedly, I have not been overly involved throughout the state. I know that there's members from our team that have been more active at the state level and then with the legislatures. But are you seeing parents start to wake up to what's happening?
Yes, definitely. I mean, like yesterday, on Monday night, I went to the Clark Present. I mean, that whole thing is pretty much packed. I mean, it's full. Normally, you don't see that many still parents, and also a pastor also spoke. You know, which is not common. Most parents, I mean, most pastors are kind of standing on the sideways. They don't want to get involved. But this pastor he actually was on the board in the past. So he actually, know both sides, and he's basically telling them they shouldn't indoctrinate children, should focus on academics.
I had seen that posted on Facebook, and I had not had a chance to watch the clip, but I do recall seeing that posted around Facebook. So that I think that that's fantastic. And hopefully with, Carmel and Fishers and Westfield and, some of these larger school districts, hopefully by sharing what's happening, we're going to just draw even more awareness across our state, because I actually spoke with a gentleman from a county in southern Indiana, and because of the work with Purple for Parents and
Right.
Unify Carmel, he had actually watched Unify Carmel quite a bit in our website. He is drawing awareness. So
Right. So right now in the Carmel Clay, do you still have open access? I mean, the public comment?
no,
So they took that away.
they closed. So at the end of September,
Mm,
September, I don't remember, September 26th ish. school board meeting. They were voting on 2 policies that evening meant to censor and stifle parents' comments.
Okay.
So there was a group of us that protested by speaking out and speaking out of turn. Because of our protest, they determined that they were going to close all future meetings, which with open access, they really can't do that, but that's a separate story.
So how
So
do you
right
do
now
that?
there's no attendance, there's no public attendance to school
Wow.
board meetings.
Do they do that virtual, kind of online?
They do a virtual, but there's no opportunity for public comment. All
Oh,
public
wow.
comment has been stopped.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
there's other channels of communication. Dr. Ping, we aren't,
right.
we have things in the works.
Yeah. Well, so I think right now, a lot of parents basically decided to pull their kids out. Do you see that in Carmel? I mean, of course, our Carmel Clay actually was short, but
$2 million.
$2 million is because people pull their kids out. And this kind of thing, very interesting. I think the Indie Star had a report and interviewed, I think, school board member or something, and saying, okay, oh, this is because it didn't mention anything about about like parents pull their kids out. They just say, okay, it's because the housing, is expensive, so they don't get enough. It's just like, what? I mean,
Nothing to see here.
right.
Nothing to see here, folks.
And it's also show you how corrupt the media is. I mean,
you've seen it, right, Dr. Ping? You saw it in China with the media. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, in China, you expect that, right? But here in America, and it's a local, right? It's Indie Star. It's not like a New York Times and things like that. But still, it's just their mindset. They don't want to tell the truth. And they also want, not only they don't want to tell the truth, they want to suppress the truth. So basically, they kind of shut you guys off, say, you are not to say anything. Yeah.
So what I'm seeing with parents is, yes, they are pulling their children. Yes, there's several parents that are in Unify Carmel that have pulled their children, but are committed to the pushback in the schools, because we all, those who are really part of this movement realize that this is not a short-term solution. This isn't something that's going to be solved next month.
No.
We need pushback with the school board for the election in 2022.
Right.
But parents are becoming aware. They're pulling their children, looking at alternate means of educating their children. And that's not only at the local level, but it's also at the state level. So parents need to be very aware that if a school is accredited, they fall under the Indiana Department of Education guidelines.
Right.
And part of that is your cultural competencies or social emotional learning. So now
they changed that. Now they changed that to employability.
Employability. Oh, is that the new word?
Yeah, employability.
Oh, that's great. So it has a new word.
They will change. Right. Well, but I think there is something more deeper than that, and that's actually the reason I left teaching a school is because even though I taught in a private school, like you said, it's accredited, so they had to follow the standard, and that's something I don't like. The standard is not good, especially if you look at the math standard. It just like doesn't make any sense. It just scatter all the concept all over the place, and you see that kids are not learning, I think our ISTEP pass rate just a little bit over 50%. As a private school, that's not acceptable.
Dr. Ping, so I've done quite a bit of research actually with the iLearn ISTEP. When it came out in July of this year, the iLearn test scores, and that they were worse than what the Indiana Department of Education had anticipated,
Mhm.
I looked at Carmel's, and I looked at Carmel's compared to the state. So then, which are horrible. I mean, maybe every parent, every taxpayer in the state of Indiana should be screaming at the
Right.
Indiana Department of Education, because they are disgusting what our scores are.
Right.
So I looked at, and I'm like, okay, well, they'll just blame all this on COVID. We need to look a little deeper into this. So I went back to 2014. I could have gone further back,
Right.
but 2014, Carmel was over 90% proficiency in English and math. Well over, like 93 to 96% proficiency. Last year, we are in the 63 to 67% proficiency.
Okay.
But it's not just A to D. It is a parallel decline with the state of Indiana on the proficiency test scores.
Okay.
So 2014, 90th percentile above.
Right.
2015, 2016, it goes to, 82 to 86 percentile, and it gradually
Drop down.
declines.
Yeah.
And what is so odd, Dr. Ping, is it is a parallel down.
Wow.
I mean, parallel. So,
So
that,
you mean
I find that really alarming.
you mean parallel with the state average?
With parallel with the state in the decline.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have Indiana
Right.
down here already
Right.
bad, and Carmel just follows the bad. And they want to say, well, we're the top in the state. Well, okay, we're the best of the bad. I mean, it's a D proficiency. How is a D proficiency? How does anyone find that acceptable?
Right.
And obviously, I'm very passionate about this. But
yeah, I think they definitely blame on COVID, and then they blame.
They just sweep it away.
Yeah, then they blame. Then they say, okay, it's because we changed to iLearn, so you cannot compare apple to apple. I mean,
yeah, you can. Proficiency is proficiency.
So what? So then, why do you change from iStep to iLearn in the first place? What's going on? What's wrong with iStep, right? And so it's like
it's their own test,
right?
They created it for themselves. You're failing your own assessment,
right?
So
but the other thing is like we still push the kids, move the kids up, and then they graduate. Yeah.
And nothing to see here, parents. Don't worry about it. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. And also this is what I saw when I was teaching, is that the grades are so inflated that become meaningless. If you got A and B, doesn't mean you actually learned anything. And then you look at data from the college side of it. There's about I think a recent data shows that for the 4-year colleges, 40% of the freshmen have to take remedial classes. 40%. And I mean, like, parents need to scream and demand, and I mean, parents need to get mad. That's the thing. We have been kind of being too nice. So.
Well, and they use a language. The language that is being used, it sounds good.
Right.
We don't want to think our children are underperforming. And if our child's report card, to your point, which is a brilliant point, and I'm not sure how to research this, but if our child is bringing home A's and B's, but yet iLearn, iStep proficiency is below, 60%, and you have the school saying, really don't look at that, but look at, your child's report card.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. But what I have discovered as a parent, this is a mom sense only, is that they are grading. They are not actually grading our children the way I might have been graded, and
No,
certainly
definitely not.
not the way. So it is, you had touched on the grading for equity, which our teachers in Carmel had a book reading this past summer on grading for equity that our
Oh,
DI
no,
coordinator,
no.
you know, coordinated, facilitated. So you have, you know, 2 children with the grading for equity, and one kind of gets it, but tried really hard. So we should give that individual a B. And then we have this overachiever that really, you know, did the extra credit and did everything they were supposed to do. But, you know, we got to give them a B. We got to take a little bit back. So you're bringing down your higher achievers and pushing up your underperformers. So it looks like you're closing that gap. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's all false.
Yeah, it's artificial. They are trying to do that. It's artificially just trying to close the gap. And well, talking about the grading now, when did you go to, let's say, when did you go to high school?
I graduated from high school in 1988.
1988. Okay. So
I know it's hard to believe that it was, you know, I know I was very young when I graduated.
okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, okay, back then, let's say, for example, for math. Now, if you do your homework, do you get full score?
Oh, now you're going way back. So
You say if you made some mistakes in your homework, do you get taking some
to try
point out?
again, or no?
Do,
It,
do you get some point take out?
yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, if you take a test and you get everything wrong, what kind of score you will get?
Get everything wrong. So you'd get a 0.
Well, that's not the case
Or-
anymore.
It's not the case anymore. And I'll tell you what else is not the case is that they can try again.
Yes. Okay. Here the thing is, now if you do, let me that's a private school. It's my experience. If you do your homework, you get full score. It doesn't matter wrong or right. And most people just copy from each other. So, and you know they copied, and but there's nothing you can do. And when they take a test, even they fail everything, they still get 50%. Yeah.
I had not heard that one, but
Yep.
okay.
Automatically 50%. Now, if you put this together, that means you didn't, even if you got everything wrong, you still get a B.
Because yeah, they're just being pushed along. So to add to that, or to reinforce that point, Dr. Ping, what I found is that, and if I take my child as an example, let's say math class, and they rush through the math class, and they go to test day, and he receives a D. So he doesn't really get all the he kind of gets it, but he doesn't really get it. So then they're like, that's okay. You can take the test again. So what these kids are learning, the teachers aren't teaching. The kids are learning the right answers on the test.
Right.
So then when they retake the test, they just fill in the answers.
You mean they take the exactly same test again?
They take the same test.
Wow. Well,
yeah. So they're learning, they're just copying.
Well, it's copying. I mean, this is the thing, the mindset, the kids I had, the students, like a lot of them, they just, when I said, okay, well, I think I'm one of the few math teachers actually look at their homework and make sure everything follow all the steps. So for the homework, definitely I let them go redo it, but you still get point taken out, just not as many. So if you correct it, you got half point back, because that's homework, right? I don't want.
That's how they're learning.
Want them to learn. So a lot of students just write in the right answer, then return back to me. I say, I cannot accept that, because I don't care about your answer. I know the answer. I want to see the steps. But I'm pretty sure I'm just one of very few teachers still doing that. Most teachers just look at the correct answers and be done with it.
Well, and you know, you and I are a little bit older. So if you think about the younger ones, the younger teachers,
Mhm.
they've been taught to take the easier route.
Right.
So so if a teacher, if it's easier to just give a kid a test, they get whatever they get wrong, they know that they can correct on you know, part 2, you know, when they take the test again, you know, the teachers are going to take the easier route. I do believe homework is a learning opportunity.
Right.
So I do not think a child should fail a class because they're trying to figure out their homework.
Right.
But to your point, they have to know the steps. It's
Right.
not just providing the right answer. No, they have to understand it.
Exactly.
There's an accountability.
Right. But right now we just don't have that. It's because, you know, I think in a way that we are responsible as parents, because we didn't we trusted them, so we didn't do our homework. Is that norm? I mean, this is what happened. I mean, in a way, the dynamics is that if you give a kids a bad score, I mean, not bad score because that's the score they deserve, the grade they deserve, but it's a not good grade, then the parents will get mad. Right. And so as a teachers, you have to explain that, right? And also your principal will also be on your back, right? So
You're absolutely right. You're
as a
absolutely
teacher,
right. Parents can't just pass the ball.
Right. So
right. There's an accountability.
Right. As a teacher, what do you do? Right. Because the teachers are not accountable to the students. There is no that mechanism. There's, I mean, no matter what student does, once they graduate, that's gone, right? Even if your student are not prepared for college, they have to take remedial classes, then they couldn't even pass that remedial classes. That has nothing to do with you now. You are not held accountable for that.
Right.
And so the easiest way for student, I mean, teachers, just give them a good grade, then everybody's happy.
Give them a good grade, pass them along, and
Right.
And you are right, though. You know, with the raising children's hard. You
Right.
know, there's and you don't know that until you're a parent. But
I know.
you know, my dad used to say, you know, this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But there is a personal, there is an accountability, and there's an accountability to be a parent, to know what your kid's doing, and then to hold the teacher accountable for actually teaching them and not passing them through.
Right.
And parents have to be aware too that if your child's receiving a D, you've got to figure out why.
Right.
Not just assume it's the teacher's fault, not assume that it's anyone's fault, but get to the root of what's happening. You know, is there a learning delay? Is there I can guarantee you it's not the social emotional learning that's going on.
No.
Right
Yeah,
now.
I think that actually won't hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so right now this is what in the school system. I mean, imagine you're a teacher. Let's say you are, if let's just say you are a high school teacher. Now, all the student you got, they are way behind. They are probably still in the elementary school level, like 4th grade and 5th grade. Now you teach them like 9th and 10th grade materials. So whose fault is that? Right? Is your fault? I mean, because so that's a problem. I mean, the buck get pushed down, right? Once you get to high school, they are so behind. It's very hard for you to teach, to make sure they understand everything, and there is nothing there. I mean, there's nothing in the system allow you to say, okay, wait a minute. We have to make sure everything gets to the high school. They actually are ready for that. We don't have that.
So what would a solution be? What do you think? Because I certainly wouldn't want to, end our conversation on a, so what can we do as, a teacher and a parent? What could we do?
Well, if, in a way, if you can homeschool, I think that probably is the best choice, because you do, and first of all, you don't need that much time, that many hours to learn. Normally, as homeschool parents, if your kids can do like 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours, I mean, that is even way better than public school. There's not much learning right now in public school, because it's a mass, which it has been there for years, right? It's a accumulated mass, very hard to change. So that's the thing. But if you have to have kids in public school, then like I said earlier, you have to get involved, make sure your kids are up to grade level. So I tutor, so I have both public school student and homeschool student. And so right now, I just do teach, for the public school students, they just need like half an hour a week with me to keep them, up to grade level, and even go beyond that. So there is options. So if you have kids in public school, make sure you get a tutor. You just need math tutor and English tutor, language tutor, that's all, right? It's not that expensive. So you're talking about like in my case, I charge $40 per hour, but half an hour is just $20. So think of that as a month is $80. $80 per month is really not, just kind of a family dinner, right?
Right.
Thing. So it's not expensive.
Right.
And I think most parents can teach their kids language part of it, teach them reading, writing. So I think all they need is just have a good math tutor. And because if you're good in math, you pretty much can do anything else. Because the skill you learn, the problem solving skills, and also the logic thinking, those kind of skills, that's transferable. It's not just math. You can using that. That's my experience. That's how I used to be a pretty like mediocre student, but then I got interested in math, and because my math is getting better, then everything else just kind of
Fell into place.
Because now you learn how to think, right? That's what math teach you. Use how to think, how to learn. So this is not that hard, and homeschooling actually is not that hard either. So because the thing is, don't use the government standard to teach your kids.
That should be the base.
Well,
that should just be the lowest level, is the way I look at it. A government standard should be.
It's well, first of all,
above it.
Yeah, and also just like there's a lot of things are not unnecessary. Yeah, so here is something like what I found, which is because when I went into teaching, I was someone just jumping in, right? And people in there has been for years. It's kind of like a jacuzzi, right? First time you jump in, it's so hot. When you get used to it, you don't feel it. And when I went in, the first thing I found, I have so many shocks when I started. One of the shocks is that we only teach at half of the standard. And that's okay. Everybody accept it. Just half the state standard. Because you don't have time. You really don't have time, especially you are in high school level, because people are so behind. I'm talking about math.
So there almost needs to be, so I've heard recently of some research, and maybe you're more familiar with this. I haven't seen it, I've only heard about it, but it's that if you immerse children, it's like an immersion program. If you have a student who is behind and you immerse them at a significantly higher level, that will pull them up faster. No. Okay.
No. Well, one thing you have to think, like just what we grew up, the way we thinking. So a lot of like thinking is from people who, in a way, never taught. they came up all kinds of theories and different practices, but those people, they may get PhDs in, in a college, in a university, but they may not, at least from what I see, that they probably don't have the experience actually teaching the kids. But as parents, we understand there is so much you can do. If you push the pressure too high, they will give up.
Okay.
And especially nowadays, kids are becoming easier and easier to give up.
Right. Because they're giving them the tools on how to give up. So I mean, they are with the whole social emotional learning.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole idea.
Yeah, you get all the excuses, right?
Right.
To give up, and which
too
is
much and enabling.
Right. Right. So if you put that kind of situation, you push in a higher grade, it really depends on the kid. If the kid is motivated, maybe. But nowadays, I think for average kid, they will give up pretty quickly.
Good point.
Yeah. So I think you really needs to first of all, the grading, put the same age kids in the same grade itself is not right.
No.
Yeah, it's really a manufacturing model. Is for, it's not designed for the kids. It's more designed for the government, for the state. That is to produce as many people as with the least amount of cost, right? I mean, that's the economy of that. And so
Push
that's
them through.
Yeah. But each kids develop different. You have to follow them. Sometimes maybe their not language development is advanced, but their math development maybe they're not yet. So they may do like say 4th grade language, but they probably just 1st grade math. So if you put the guy into the 3rd grade, then they will get bored with language because they already know, but they'll get frustrated with math because they're not there yet. So each person is different. I mean, that's why homeschooling, I think, is the best because parents get involved and because each kid is different and their interest also different. I think we have to educate our kids based on our kids' mental development. And sometimes if they're interested in, like, say, arts, just do that. Just spend the whole day doing arts. Don't worry about other subjects. And someday they're interested in math, then we just spend the whole day doing math. And that, to me, that's actually, well, based on my experience, that's most effective. You can learn a lot. You can learn, you can spend a week time to learn the whole year worth of math.
Well, and I think that it just it promotes a love of learning.
Right.
So which we all need to do, right?
Right.
Life is about learning.
Yeah, and also, like, especially like when kids get to high school level, even not high school, when you get to middle school level, you should be able to learn on your own. You shouldn't be just like spoon-fed by teachers. But that's what we do, right? When I was teaching math, the student want to see how you did it. They want to have example. Then they just follow that. And if they see something they haven't seen before, the first reaction is, I don't know how to do this because nobody showed me yet.
So do you think that our current public school system needs to implode before it can be fixed? Or do you think that public schools can be fixed?
Well, I don't think public school can be fixed. The reason I say that is because not because of teachers and parents, is because the system is something called this education industry complex. Because first of all, you have teachers union, right? And then you have a lot of bureaucrats in that system, right? And also, I don't know, a lot of people are making money from that, so this is because the government pushed so much money into this system. Some people will take money, we're trying to make a buck out of that, right? You have, say, all the consultant comes in, even like for the SEL experts or maybe
Mhm.
equity experts, they make tons of money on that.
Oh,
Right.
I can't even imagine
Right.
how much, I think of our little, Carmel Clay schools and how many mental health
Right.
resources. I mean, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, you got social workers, counselors. There is so many non-teaching staff in pretty much every public system. So I don't, because of that, I don't think we can really fixing it.
I agree.
And also it's outdated anyway.
Right.
Actually, I wrote a article called Education 4.0 is because we are different now.
Mhm.
Because our system was designed more than 100 years ago for a different economy, right? At the time, because of the Industrial Revolution, and we need a lot of workers, or because of the war, we need our soldiers. So you have to educate the common people, right?
Right.
And before that, nobody cares. Before
Right.
that, the government say, okay, you're on your own. And now they say, oh, we need people who can read and write and also follow orders, not just read and write. They have to learn how to obey. And that's what school does, right?
Right.
Is social conditioning, teach you the three R's, but also teach you how to be obedient, right?
Well, they're not
follow
teaching you writing so much anymore.
No, now even
Writing.
worse.
Yeah.
Now even
Yeah,
worse.
it's even worse. Yeah.
And now actually their objective from those the woke kind of community, that their purpose is to make the student into social activists.
Yeah.
And that's even worse, right? Not
Yeah.
only they cannot read, but they become resentful, they become angry, they become very destructive.
Right.
And this is really not good. I mean, that's why I think even though we put our kids to homeschool, we still have to get involved in that system.
Right,
Because there's
because
still people in that system. Yeah.
What about our kids' friends? What
Right.
about our kid, who will our children marry?
Right.
What kind of world will we leave for our grandchildren? So,
Yeah. Right. And also like they will become voters.
Right.
And they will influence policies and all
Right.
that. And
Oh, yeah.
I think, and this year I think kind of wake a lot of people up is because I mean the mask mandate and vaccine mandate,
Mhm.
and that just show us how close we are to a totalitarian government.
Mhm.
Because we have a government who thinks like I can order the business to mandate the vaccine.
Executive orders.
Right.
Yeah.
That has never done before.
Nope.
Not in our Americans' DNA. This is something foreign, right? The government does not have that kind of power to control the private business.
And people are accepting it.
Yeah,
That's what's amazing to me. Is
exactly.
it's like, yeah, they can say all they want, but it's the people who are accepting it. And I just, you're right, it's not in our DNA. So unfortunately, I am going to have to run though.
Yeah.
I do have a meeting at noon that I'm
No
going to
problem.
need to get to.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, really, thank you for this opportunity to talk with you. I think we're still definitely the conversation is still ongoing, and this is a long-term. It's long-term.
We're in a long-term battle. We're in a marathon.
Yeah, many
So
battles.
We have many battles.
Yeah.
And we're in it for the long haul. So I appreciate all you've done. Your thought leadership is what our state has needed. So I'm so thankful that you're here and for the information that you put out. So
thank you. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
I'll see you next time.
I hope so. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.